I'm here interviewing my dad about his experiences in segregated schooling in the Albemarle area of North Carolina. So to start, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Winfort Ricky Lee. Everybody knows me as Ricky. And I was born one of 5 children. My mother, Tressie, my father, Winfort, they call him Zed. I was born in a house in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The house, no plumbing, had an outhouse. But we grew up really, really good, very close-knit family. Cousins are like brothers and sisters. My dad, he was an Army veteran. He also was a boxer in the military. My mom, she did domestic work initially in North Carolina, but then she retired from the state of New York, where she worked in a mental institution for over like 30 years. I am currently retired, and I did most of my employment was in mental health also. Sort of followed my mother. I'm a veteran of the Air Force. My 3 brothers were all also veterans of the Air Force, and my sister, who is deceased.
Tell us now about your schooling experience. So you actually went to school during the era of Jim Crow, when schools were segregated.
Yes.
In Elizabeth City.
Yes.
So what was that like?
Well, actually, we didn't have kindergarten, so we started in the 1st grade. Of course, my first 2 years of school was in elementary school, Pasquotank County Elementary School, which was all black. It was segregated. Black principal, all black teachers. And it was like more like a family, because these same teachers taught my parents. And it was just a really great experience. The principal didn't take any mess. He was about 500 pounds or more, and he had this big paddle with holes in it. He would beat you too. He would beat you, and then you would go home and get beat by your parents. So,
Wow.
so you had to be strict.
Goodness gracious.
Yes, everybody was close, and everybody was like your parents also. And so that was really, really neat. School, I didn't know anything else about, it was a black school, black students. You had the Black Pledge of Allegiance. Everything, was, I don't know, it was just, they served food was good in the lunchrooms, soul food, as they call it now. So my first 2 years were at Pasquotank County. My 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I was at H.L. Triggs, and the teacher, my 5th grade teacher, I remember all my teachers from 1st to 5th grade, but the 5th grade teacher, Miss Eva Johnson, you didn't play with her. She told me that she beat my parents, and she would beat me too, if I acted out. So you didn't act out. We were afraid of her.
Yeah.
The whole student body was afraid of Miss Eva Johnson.
So did anybody think it was like unfair that people at school got to beat you, or was everybody like down with it? Like it was normal? Everybody?
It was normal.
Oh, wow.
It was normal. Like I said, if you got beat in school, you got beat when you got home too.
Yeah. So you feel like the parents and the teachers were on the same accord?
They were on the same accord. Same accord. And then the upper level kids that were like in high school, they actually drove the school buses.
Oh.
So it was very interesting, very interesting time there, and one thing that I do remember also was the athletes, the football players. Football was real big, and there was a big thing for the football games. I had a lot of relatives that played football, and so either at the high school, P.W. Moore High, or Elizabeth City State Teachers College was the college that most people went to. So I remember a lot of my cousins playing football. And everybody supported it, the big parades and stuff, Had the marching band. Oh, I love that marching band. We were in a community that was all black, and then we seen black vendors around, But of course, there was areas in Elizabeth City that you didn't want to, or you shouldn't go to. I know things went on there too.
So what kind of things?
Well, if I take you a little bit further back, one of my uncles was killed by the state of North Carolina for being with a white woman, and it was trumped up charges, and they actually put him in the gas chamber. For they say it was attempted rape and robbery, but he was actually dating this woman. But education was encouraged in our families, and a lot of my family members are teachers, or retired teachers, or principals and stuff down in the South. Mostly North Carolina, Virginia. Now,
did you ever wonder about what it was like in the white schools, the schools you couldn't go to? Did you ever?
I didn't wonder when I was going to school because I thought everything was just fine. It's only later on that I realized through reading that we had our supplies were inferior to the other schools. They even say that our education, the books and everything was like older editions. The new editions went to the other schools.
So you didn't know that while you were a kid?
I did not know it. Did not know that.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing that y'all didn't know?
As I look back on it now, I think it was a bad thing because I know one of my brothers, when we moved to New York, they set him back 2 grades when we went to New York because he wasn't prepared, for that level. But I didn't have a problem with it. I do remember his brother, his teacher, Miss Collins, was a music teacher. So all day long I would hear music, through the classrooms, and it was his class. And to this day, he's more musically inclined because that's what he gravitated to, was music. But I think most of us, it was a great experience.
So how did you look at your teacher in your segregated schooling experience? Was it more describe the relationship?
It seems like, I guess because I can remember the names of all of them, so there was an impression on me. But I also felt that they cared about my education, they cared about me, and some of them had taught my parents and other relatives also. I respected them, I didn't do anything to, out of hand. I just really respected them because these same people you would see in the community, you go to the store and see them, or they were relatives to somebody else, or even some of your relatives were teachers in the school, So I just really respected them.
So then y'all moved to Long Island and Culture Shock. So what was that? What was that schooling experience like?
Wow, it was wild. You know what? It took me a little bit of time to kind of gather myself because I went from a all black school. Now when we moved to New York, we moved in June, July, that summer.
And what year was that?
That had to have been 1966. 1966, and that year, that September, that's when they were integrating the schools. So we heard about them preparing for the integration and everything, but we moved to New York. So going to New York, it was an eye-opener for me because I went from a school that was all black to a school where I think we had 12 students that were black.
Okay.
And some of the names like the N-word, you called and stuff. And I didn't really know how to take that, because I can't even remember even hearing that word. I don't even remember hearing that word. But I can remember being in the classroom and feeling warm. That's warm all over because somebody said something, and not having, being the only black in the class. And then, if they did talk about different, minority black things, when you're the only one in there, how do you deal with it, It made me feel uncomfortable. Really did. But as time went on, I became friends with some of the students and all.
Okay.
But as far as learning, I think I had difficulty initially. I don't know if it's just the subject matter itself. Like the math. Math, arithmetic, I was graded. But when it started turning to algebra and things like that, I was struggling. I was really struggling. But, I got the new thing as I look back on it now, I think in those schools up in the North, I think some of the Black history we really missed out on that I would have had if I had stayed down in the South. Because they didn't really speak much about, stuff. Most stuff they talked about was Columbus, discovered America, and, all that kind of stuff. Marco Polo, Amerigo Vespucci, and all these people.
Yeah.
All these people here that don't mean nothing to me.
What were your relationships like with your teachers and other people in the school?
My relationship, let's say at Patrick, when I was at Patrick, Oregon Avenue Junior High and Patrick High, between the 6th grade and 10th grade. Yeah, I was there. And I said I had a good relationship with some of the coaches, teams, and the guys that we were all on the same teams. So we had good, close relationship with those. As far as just other people in general, I don't know. Just hello and goodbye. The teachers, I guess that's why I can't remember the teachers, because I don't really have much of a relationship with them. I wasn't a great student either. I mean, as far as, I guess, it took me a while to catch up. It always seemed like I was struggling when I was in school. It seemed like, in some areas. When I got to Longwood High, which was maybe like 60% white, 40% black, it was different.
How do you feel like those experiences, thinking about the experience in the segregated school and the experience in the desegregated school, how did that affect maybe like your life outcomes or?
I think in the segregated schools, I really truly believe that there was a foundation that was set, with seeing people that my same color that could teach, be professionals, and know that you can do that same thing. I think that really was profound. I don't know, it just kind of like impressed me more, and then like I say, having family members that were teachers too. But to be honest with you, when I went to Longwood High and Patchogue High, and when I graduated, I had no clue what I was wanting to do in life. So I went into the military. I had no clue. So it's like, I don't know, there was guidance counselors there and stuff, but I had no clue. The schools up in the North, kind of like, they didn't encourage me to be one thing or another.
So thinking about the wonderful things you said about the segregated experience and thinking about the schools in Richmond here, Richmond City schools, predominantly black schools, a lot of them are. A lot of them are having issues. A lot of them have bad reputations, more or less. What can these schools or schools like them or this dynamic of like the bad black schools in the inner city and the good, schools in the suburbs, what can we take from the benefits of the segregated experience and apply to what's going on right now?
But I think we have to get back to the community. The community used to raise the child. The community doesn't actually do that anymore. Some of the communities are actually afraid of these children. And we can't be afraid of them. We have to actually help pull up the next person. And I saw that in the segregated schools. I saw that. I saw those teachers who really cared about you, the custodians, everybody. Everybody was like, like part of the family. In a sense to me.
So more community, and just stronger community,
yes,
and looking out for each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Thanks for talking with me and talking to everybody else about this.
Yes. Thank you for having me.